Hi guys, so this is episode 5, well chapter 5 episode of the Faith Chronicles, and what I'm going to be talking about today is about being persistent. So along the journey and along that we're leading up toward the exam, we were, as there are 4 persons who didn't do it, it was not only me, but so me and them were back and forth via email. We were talking and discussing the options we have with regards to the exam and what we can do and who we need to speak to, etc. And within that time frame, there was a point in time when a friend of ours, she was one who wasn't doing the exam as well, she sent us a text found in Luke chapter 18, and it was about the persistent widow. And I'm actually going to read the story for you, but in a nutshell, it's basically she wanted something from the king. The king was not a man, or the judge was not a man that thought of God or regarded God, but she went to him and she continued to be persistent. She asked him day in, day out, until he decided that he would do for her what she wanted unless he'd be worn out. And the story is found in Luke chapter 18, and Jesus was speaking a parable unto the people, and it was the theme of the parable is found in chapter 1, where it says, he spoke a parable unto the people, that men ought always to pray and not to faint. So the theme of the parable was about being persistent. It was about being persistent in prayer and to not faint and not to grow weary in that regard. And the parable goes like this. There was in a city a judge, which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city. And she came unto him, saying, avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And in verse 6, the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge saith. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? And so, from what she said, she was encouraging us to be persistent. And as we see from this story, persistence actually is key. And there was a sermon that I had a few Sabbaths ago, and it was about pray. Now, Elijah had his Mount Carmel experience. He just had to pray once, and God sent down the fire. But when he had to pray for the rain to come back to the land, Elijah had to pray 7 times before there were even any signs of rain. And so that shows that in some circumstances, God will answer immediately. In others, God would say wait, because he'll be working out his purpose in our lives. And what struck me about that story, because she sent us because it was to do with persistence. And then when I read on into the other verses, I realized God is saying, I am a just judge. If that unjust judge was able to grant the widow what she wanted, how much more will I avenge my own? He's like, depend on me, trust in me. I will come through for you. I am God. I am a just God, and it will work out in the end. And so I just wanted to share with you that chapter in Luke, because that chapter really shows you that God, in that he is just, will work out his ways for you, and he will do what is best for you. And you just need to be persistent. You don't pray and decide, God, I'm done with this, because clearly you meant no. When God means no, you will know for a fact that it is no. And I can testify to that. When God tells you no, it is such a clear no that you can't even question whether it's a no. but sometimes we think he says no while we're waiting and we decide not to pray to him anymore. But the key is to be persistent. God will grant you the desires of your heart once they're according to his will, and he will always do what is best for you. So be persistent. Okay, so another lesson or learning point for me that I wanted to share with you that happened exactly around the same time that my friend sent me that story was that friendships are very important. Now, I don't know about you, but from the time I've been young, been told to watch who I associate with, watch the friends I keep, watch the persons that I have in my circle. And I have found as time has passed by, as I have grown up, that indeed that was some very wise advice, because I think your friends really help to shape who you are and who you become, and depending on the friendships that you foster, it really can influence and affect the character that you develop. And so another learning point here, and one that I want to share with you, is that you should choose your friends wisely. You should associate yourselves with friends that believe what you believe, who understand and have a relationship with God. This is not that you will freeze out anybody else. You don't decide, I am X, so I will never associate with Y. But you keep in your inner circle people who also have the X lifestyle, and live the way that will allow you to continue to uphold your values. And in saying that, there was a passage in Proverbs, because I was reading through Proverbs a couple weeks ago, and it reaffirmed that friendships are very important. In Proverbs chapter 27 and Proverbs chapter 27 verse 17, it says, "Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend." And when you read it in the NIV, it basically is saying that the same way iron sharpeneth iron, a friend affects a friend. They can sharpen you to either have a bad demeanor or the demeanor that they have if it's a good demeanor. In any case, what the verse is trying to say is that your friends have influences on you and on your character and on your development. So the next point that I wanted to make was just that to surround yourself with friendships and persons who can better you and who can lift you up when you're down, and who can encourage you with a word, who can encourage you in Jesus because they have had experiences and had relationships with Jesus too, and can encourage you in that way. And so in that we find that there is great importance in good friendship. Also in this week, yes, this is the third and final point that I have to make in this video, and this is the final point I have to make, and it is coming from this book, The Power of Determination by Joyce Meyer. And I found this book when I was going through my situation. I was looking in my mother's cupboard and in her shelf, and I found this, and I was like, determination, this sounds like something that I might need right now. And I got to page 17, that is entitled keep on keep on keeping on. So it's entitled Keep On Keeping On, and I just wanted to share it with you. And it says, Peter's beautiful passage teaches us. So there was a passage, okay, on the page that was about Christ suffering for us. You can look for it in 1 Peter chapter 4, and it's verses 1 to 2. And it says that Jesus suffered for us, and basically that's what this reading now is based on. So Peter's beautiful passage teaches us secrets a secret concerning how to make it through difficult times and situations. Here is her rendition now of these verses, so you can compare the two. So her rendition of 1 Peter chapter 4 verses 1 to 2. Think about everything Jesus went through and how he endured suffering in his flesh, and it will help you make it through your difficulties. Arm yourselves for battle. Prepare yourselves for it by thinking as Jesus did. I patiently suffer rather than fail to please God. For if you suffer having the mind of Christ toward it, you will no longer be living just to please yourself, doing whatever is easy and running from all that is hard. But you will be able to live for what God wills and not by your feelings and carnal thoughts. And that's the end of her rendition of it. And she continues in her own words, there is suffering in the flesh that we will have to endure in order to do God's will. Trials and tests will come to develop the potential God has put in you. Your part is to determine that you are not going to quit, no matter what, until you see manifested what God has placed within you. There's one kind of person the devil can never defeat, one who is not a quitter. And so I really like this. The section was entitled, I Will Not Quit. And this really was some encouragement for me as well, to realize that Jesus indeed, he suffered, and he suffered more than we will ever in our lifetime. And so any situation that we go through, no matter how bad we think it is, Jesus has gone through it. He has suffered it for us. And if we go with the mind of Christ within us, we indeed will be able to make of these burdens some very light situations. Because in comparison to heaven, when we get there, we will laugh. Like the hymn says, until then my heart will go on singing, because in the verses it said, a heartache here on earth is but a stepping stone when you get to heaven. So until I get to heaven, my heart will go on singing. Until then, with joy I'll carry on until the day my eyes behold the city, until the day God calls me home. And so remember, 1, be persistent. 2, keep good friends. And 3, don't quit. Thank you so much for watching this video, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.